All right, hey there, friends. Welcome back. Today, I'm going to film the first installment of what is it? The Poulan 3400 rebuild. I've already done some work on it, but I gotta do more, and so I figured I'd show you guys. So let's get to it. And now, unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to have you guys see me and the song. So I'll change the camera so that you guys can see what I'm doing, and we'll go from there. Well, it had spark issues, and that was the first thing I did, was figure out spark, as one does. It did not have spark. That was a really easy fix. I took the cover off, the recoil cover off, and the solid state ignition, the electronic ignition module was gummed up with a lot of oil and sawdust mixture. So there was nothing happening between the magnet and the ignition module. So what I did was I just took both of those off and cleaned them off, and that took care of the spark. So I've got spark, but I am not getting fuel, and that could be a couple things. Just gonna take this top cover off. There's the air filter that goes on like that. Take the top cover off, move that. And the thing about these Poulan 3400s, and probably other models, I've just never dealt with them personally. The thing to remember is this top cover that covers the cylinder, you can remove it without moving this top handle, but you will not be able to put it back on. I don't know why, just is that way. So you gotta remove it first. So let's see, those are hex threads, and yeah, I always have trouble guessing hex bits. I don't know why, but there we go. These are 3/16 hex bits. It's really simple. Just you unscrew these two bolts up here. Oh yeah, and I'm probably planning on trying to make my own wraparound handle. I've never seen anybody do it, but I prefer wraparounds personally. And you don't need to remove any other bolts to move the handle. The only other thing connecting it is down here. It's got the anti-vibration system, and that spins. So once you disconnect those, you can just spin it down. Let's see. And then it's got a different sized hex bolt. Probably looks like the smallest one I've got. It's got these two holes. Let's see, right there and right there. And then it's got another screw. It's got a flathead screw up here. You're gonna want to remove that one too to fully take off the top cover, the cylinder cover. So yeah, I was mistaken. This is the air filter cover. This is the top cover or cylinder cover. There we go. I do know for a fact that this thing needs new fuel lines, and it needs a new duckbill valve. Just waiting to be able to order those parts. But I'm really excited about this saw because it's if I'm not mistaken, it's 56 cc's, which is pretty small. I plan on porting this. It's small for me. But I reckon even stock, I could probably run a 28-inch bar on it, which I know might sound kind of big to some of you guys, but it's only worth it to me if I can run something that big. The Mac 1010 back here that you guys might be able to see, that's a 54 cc saw, and it runs a 28, no problem. It runs better if you run a full skip tooth chain on it. So like, instead of it having a cutter tooth every other tooth, so like cutter space cutter space cutter, full skip is cutter space space cutter space space cutter, and I'll film a video about that later on, breaking down all of the different chain cutter types. Okay, so here we go. We've got the top cover off, and I don't want to lose these. So, is that threaded? I don't know. Try to keep all your bolts where they were. That way you won't lose them. If you can't though, make sure you steal like one of your mom's Tupperware containers so you can just throw the bolts in there, but try to keep them organized, because I've lost a lot of stuff and haven't been able to put it back together properly because I couldn't remember where it went. So it looks like there's a foam bumper for the top cover that went over the intake manifold right here. Excuse me, no, intake on the carburetor, not the intake manifold. So there was that bumper. Take that off. And it looks like let's see. Looks like it's just two bolts that hold this thing on. So let's take it off. That's been on there a while. So what I'm trying to do here is, you know, like, it really needs a new carb kit, honestly, and with the fuel lines and all that. But I just want to see if I can clean the carb and use what I've got. Let's see. Am I able to move these? Yeah, I am. Get that in there. There it goes. So that might be the gasket, kind of interesting. I'm not used to that. I'll show you guys here in a minute. So yeah, it was just those two bolts holding this on, and the carburetor is free. And on the front here, on the front of the carburetor, there was where these two bolts went, there was this little metal boot, if you will, that went onto where the choke is. Again, keep your bolts where they go. Okay, and then There's the choke linkage, which this is really simple. I like this. This is nice. Not a ton of finagling you have to do. Remove the choke linkage right here. And then got to remove the throttle linkage, which just takes some rotating, looks like. And there she pops off. Okay, and now we're just connected by the fuel line, which is very hard, very crusty. Something to keep in mind when you have your carburetor off and you don't trust that your shop is clean or things around you are super clean, take a shop rag that's obviously new and clean and stuff it down into the intake manifold where the carburetor was. That way you won't accidentally get any contaminants in there. Okay, so let's pop this fuel line off. Actually, I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to drain the fuel out first, it all out, but obviously we won't really be able to. Now, I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a lot of sediment in there, a lot of not very good stuff floating around in there. That's what your fuel filter helps you with. Wipe off that old gas. So now I did have a little bit of new gas in there. I'll have to spray it out and fully clean it another day. But I just want to see if I can get this running. Now with these fuel lines, very important to know. This is very important. These fuel lines, especially when they're old, but even when they're new, always push them off. Push them off of their nipples or jacks, whatever you want to call them. Push them off so you don't pull them and break them. But I don't know if this one's going to want to go without breaking. It's so old and crusty. Slowly just push her off there. There we go. Ooh. There's some crud in there. Let's see. Focus. Not right now, but this should be all, this little nipple here should be all silver, but you can hopefully see all that crud on there, all that brown. Oh, yeah. Really needs new fuel lines. I mean, that's probably the issue right there. That is probably where we're going wrong. It's super clogged in there. I wonder if this thing is running with a fuel filter at all. Let's see. No. That's the problem right there. It's got no fuel filter. So that's probably why we weren't taking fuel in. And it's all like clogged up. So we will definitely need to replace this fuel line and fuel filter. Now, friends, I don't know if it really makes a difference. I don't have carb cleaner with me. I only have, ooh, what is that? Yeesh. Okay, I don't know what this is. Y'all gotta tell me if you know what this is. I've never seen this before. There's this white jelly substance. It almost looks like coconut oil. What is that? Whatever it is, it's gotta go. This is a really tiny little carburetor. The carb on my Mac is twice the size of this. Otherwise, everything in here looks pretty good. There's this little wire screen looking thing is that's your what's it called? I don't remember right now. But that's this is your impulse. Man, I don't know. It'll come to me. But so this is not your gasket. This is actually what makes the carburetor work in tandem with your impulse line. This is one half of it. Then your next layer, keep that because it looks good. It's not hard or rigid. It's good. This is the gasket. Next, it's got this little tab so you can pull it up, and it's not crinkly or bad looking either. There's more of that jelly looking crud in there and rust. Very interesting. Very interesting. So we'll clean that out, and oh man, it's loaded up in here. And it looks like this carb is missing filter screen. I don't know how this thing ever ran. It's probably why it wasn't running. On this side, there's the intake manifold gasket. It's stuck on there, so I'm going to leave it on there for right now. Okay, let's take the other side off here. And we're going to spray this thing out with throttle body cleaner. I don't have carb cleaner with me right now. But it should do same trick. Both are flammable and both go to the same place. So I figure it'll do the trick. I've used brake cleaner before and that worked, but I wouldn't recommend it because I don't know what's necessarily different about it. So let's see here. I'll tilt you guys up here so you can see me and the carb. There we go. And so there are these 4 little screws that hold on this this cover to the impulse diaphragm. I'll show you the impulse diaphragm here. Use my little poker. Clean the tip off. Let's see. Well, I know it's getting some fuel because fuel is leaking onto my hand from the carb. So that's a good sign-ish. At least we know it's not ooh. Friends, that is not what you want to see. I'm going to film a close-up so you guys can see that. This should be completely clean. And as you can clearly see, it is not. It is filled with what feels like grease. I mean, it's probably 2-stroke engine oil and wow, look at all that. That should not be in your carb. Here's the other side, where the jet action happens. It's missing a screen, a filter screen right here, and I think these are removable. I definitely need to remove this to fully clean it. Wow, look at that. That's like just sawdust and bark, whatever fell in here when the previous owner was using it. So I'm gonna get this cleaned up. Very interesting. I'm not familiar with this kind of carb. It does not have a little hook for this diaphragm to hook into. I've never seen that before. Usually they do. Usually this little diaphragm hooks into a little tab right on here, and that helps control the levering needle down here. That is not there. So I'm going to very carefully remove this gasket here. We're just starting to get mosquitoes down here where I am, and it's not fun. Okay, so there's the gasket. So the gasket, remember, the gasket went on first, then the diaphragm, then the top cover. Beautiful. There you go. There's the impulse diaphragm. This is a tiny carb. Yeah, like I said, I'll have to show you guys the Mac 1010 carb one of these days. Okay, and take the jet screws out. So the thing to remember, no matter what orientation your carburetor has your jets on. This is at least everything that I've ever seen. And everything that I've ever seen on Tin Man's channel or Buchan's channel or Iron Horse. Everybody. I've never seen a saw that doesn't have the low jet screw closest to the cylinder. I don't know why that is the case, but that's just how it is. Okay, friends, I think I've got her figured out here. For whatever reason, Poulan runs these carbs upside down. I don't know why. These carbs, the way they've got their set up here, it runs, excuse me, sorry, that was loud. They run like this, with the impulse diaphragm on top, which I've never seen before. So I'm sure some of you have, but I haven't ever seen that. And you can see, if we were to orient it with the low jet screw being closest to the cylinder, it is upside down, which also is reflective of that. Where is it? Here on the air cover. So the air filter cover would sit like this over the carb, sitting above those two needles. I mean, it'd be set back more, but you get the idea. There's your low closest to the cylinder, and there's your high furthest away. And then down here is your idle screw, and I'll show you guys what that is here in a minute. Idle screws were never explained to me, what they do, why they're there. So I'm going to explain it to you guys. That's nice to know. They are surprisingly uncomplicated, like really easy, really simple analog pieces of ingenuity. But if you don't know what they are, nobody ever tells you. It takes a while to figure it out. So, at another time. But for now, I'm just gonna clean these out with my throttle body cleaner. Okay, don't do what I just did. I just sprayed myself, and that was not cool. When you're doing this, make sure that the angle is away from you and that you're not going to catch any edges and it's going to come back. Let's see. Wipe it off. That's looking better. A little better. This looks like, gosh, I don't know what it is. Some kind of oxidization. That's what it looks like. I'm careful to be too intense with scrubbing it. Get in here. That's the direct hole that connects to this nipple. So oh man, that's full of junk. You can see it squirting out. Pretty cool. Okay, so I thought it was definitely clean in there, but there was tons of stuff coming out of there. Go the other way. Nice and clean. And I'm going to let that evaporate just before we do anything else with it. Or excuse me, before we put that part back together, just because if there's too much of this liquid in there, and thankfully it does evaporate very quickly, but if there's too much throttle body cleaner in there and it gets trapped in there, it takes a long time for it to evaporate. And you'll go to start your saw and it's flooded, and it can be aggravating to say the least. So let's tackle this side next. Way better already. Okay, I'm going to turn. Okay, here's where the impulse diaphragm is. Turn you guys that way. There we go. There's where the impulse diaphragm is, and it still needs some work down in here. I gotta figure out how to remove this. I don't know how yet, but this looks way better, and I'm going to take like a razor. Let's see, I've got one in here. Just like that, one of these little razors, and scrape this edge, flat scrape it. Like don't try going and digging it, because you don't want to You don't want to disrupt that seal that the gasket makes. But just take that black stuff off. I'm going to try to take this off and we'll see what we can do. Okay. Hello. Just gonna, right now I'm just scraping this old gasket material off. Now, the reason why I was saying to be so careful when you're scraping this stuff off is because these little carburetors are they're made of aluminum. It's all aluminum housing, and razor blades, they're high carbon steel. So you can very easily cut the aluminum. So you just gotta be careful. Let's see if I can't crack those open. Oh, I'm gonna strip that. Where's my Phillips heads? Nope. That one will work. So I don't know what these are. If you guys do know, please let me know. I think I know what they are, and I think they're like a screw-in alternative to the clench. I think that's what it's called. CLENCH, clench. I can't remember. My memory is so bad. I just want to see if I can remove these here. Yep. Okay. So gracious with me. I mean, the internals look good. Oh, that's probably for this whole cover. I'll turn you guys down here so you can see. Don't try to lose things. Those look really good. Okay, so I removed those two screws. I think they hold this whole plate in, and that's how this metering lever works. Take my pick. Yep, that's exactly what it was. Okay. Careful you don't lose anything. Aha. So there we get. Wow, that's dirty. Wow, okay. Okay, so I just removed this little cover, which you guys saw with the screws. Removed the cover from there. This little arm, this little rocker arm, was let's see, how was it set up here? There we go. It was like that, and sat on here and made connection with that spring. But you guys can see, hopefully, look at that screen right there. That is so gunked up. Oh, whoops, grab that, grab the spring with the magnet. Okay, so yeah, look at all that junk. That should not be in there, ever. So I gotta clean that out, but this is pretty cool. I've never seen this in all the carburetors I've worked on. These are the jet screws like we previously discussed, and then right here, you can actually see where the jet screws interact with the flow. So this, let's see, that's this one on the right, that's your low screw. And that controls the main flow of your fuel. I don't know for sure. I have to study these more. I just know a little bit of how they work, but this is cool. So I'm imagining these are the intake ports of there's your high and there's your low. So I gotta clean these out. While I'm here, I'm just gonna take these out and spray them out. Spray all of this out. Okay, so let's take this little metering needle. It doesn't look too bad. We'll keep it. We'll try it. I mean, all of these things, except for the gaskets, look okay. Just looks like somebody was running it without a proper fuel filter and got a ton of junk in there. I don't know. So what is it? If I'm not mistaken, your low screw is always your longest screw. So it's counterintuitive. You would think that the low screw is the shortest. It's not. It's always the longest. I'm going to double check that and put text right here and tell you if that was right or wrong, because I do not want to misinform you guys. Okay, there's your low. And honestly, it looks like these might be exactly the same length on this kind of carb. Never encountered that. Yeah, they sure are. So they're pretty much interchangeable. How interesting. Okay, I'm gonna spray this out. Whatever I'm not able to work free with the pressure, just use my pick very lightly again, because my pick is steel and the carb body is aluminum, so just be careful. Well, it might be magnesium. I don't know. I would just imagine that the carb would be aluminum. That screen is still very dirty. Where does that go? So I'm hoping I can I don't know where that screen goes. Just try this. Gotta get all that junk out of there. There, that's a little better. When I get a new carb kit, I'll be able to replace that. Nice. Okay, looks way better. Okay. She's looking good now. Cleaned most of these out. Oh man, I forgot that part. I gotta clean that out. But otherwise, looking good. Looking really good. All right, I'm excited to edit this one. It's gonna be a long one. Get those out. Spray down inside. Nice. Beautiful. we don't have to worry about the idle screw because the idle screws never work internally. At least not that with any that I've come across. These idle screws, all they do, this one is a particular design. So all these idle screws do is quite literally control however much throttle is being used. So like you would manually control the throttle with this trigger down here. It's not spring loaded right now, but you would usually manually control it with the throttle trigger. But here with these, it's a little different. So the further in you screw these idle screws, the higher or lower it will raise this bar here. And depending on whether or not it's screwed in, you'll have more throttle, as in the engine will run higher, or you'll have, if you screw it out, you'll have less throttle. So even to the point where the engine will die. So you always want a little bit of idle, but you don't want enough to where your chain is always turning. And I'll have another video diagnosing whether or not you have a bad clutch or if your idle screw is too far in. Because that is something that I experienced on my own and had to learn. So let's see. Gotta clean that out. So I'm going to now reassemble the impulse diaphragm and this screen and all that. Oh, there's a little baby gasket on here that I did not see. I'm just going to spray that off. Because it looks pretty old and I don't want to risk taking it off without having a new one. So we'll just spray it. Okay. Spray off all the little tiny components. That spring is okay. Spray off the needles. Now these high and lows, I just want to show you guys again, these are identical. I mean, completely identical. I mean, they're out of focus, so you guys can't see them, but I can't find any differences. So we'll just say they go in exactly the same. Put your spring on and screw it in. These are super fine little threads, I'll tell you that. Spring on and high screw. So I don't want to tune these yet. I just want to turn them in so that they're not flying around. I'm placing this needle in next. Down in here. And then I will put this corresponding spring right behind it in that little hole right there. Kind of hard to do this all and see what I'm doing. There's more junk in there that I missed. Get that out. Okay, spring. This cap with the gasket on it. We want to make sure that this this metering lever here, that the prongs interface with the negative space, this negative space under the cap of this metering needle here, and that this dimple right there, it's a positive dimple on this side, that interfaces with this baby spring right behind that metering needle. This is going to be difficult to do on camera, but okay, so I was able to get both into place. The spring is interfacing with the dimple, and the prongs are underneath the cap of the metering needle. I'm then going to put in these little Phillips head screws and screw it down. Sometimes with these little tiny screws, the magnets that these bits have can be a little troublesome. Sometimes they get in the way, grab onto the screw in a way that you don't want. Okay, those are down, and make sure that your metering lever, excuse me, yes, depresses properly and comes back up, which it does. Next goes the gasket, which again we're using the old one here. And then the diaphragm here. The diaphragm is, I mean, still nice and super flexible, so I don't see any issue with it. And that goes on top of the gasket, just like we had it. Excuse me, just like we found it. And like we had seen before, this one does not clip into the metering lever. So, and then that just seats right on there. And then we screw on these 4 little screws. And then we move on to the other side, and we can then work on the choke and the throttle. So you want to, again, you want to tighten these down in alternating patterns. So like corner to corner and then corner to corner. Get the best seal on the gasket. Get that on. Get this one on. The birds are outside playing. Okay, that looks good. Next, we'll work on this side. put it back together. These little flaps here control the actual suction of the fuel. And they correspond with that hole and that hole. And those need to sit flush. Like that. They need to sit flush so that they can actually do their job of sealing and then releasing, sealing and releasing. So I'm going to reverse how we put it, how we disassembled it, and then if it doesn't work, then we know I did it wrong. So we'll just do that. Okay, put it back on. Oh, I forgot to clean this side. This is still very dirty. So I'm going to do that. Get all that crud out. Nice and easy. Spick and span. Very nice. Okay. See? Like that. Nope. Like that. Yes. And then seats. Now, there's the screw. Put the screw back in. And screw her home. There we go. So I just want to show you guys real quick. In this impulse diaphragm up here, I can press it down and it springs back up, which is perfect. So what's happening, the way that this works is when the piston goes down, it creates a vacuum, which then presses on this diaphragm to suck down. All right, I can't remember which order it is, but yeah, it's either when the piston goes up or when it goes down. The diaphragm goes up or down, and introduces fuel and air into it, mixes them, and then shoots it out into the intake manifold. Pretty nice. Well, that's about all I was going to do on this. Just clean it up and get it going. So I'm actually just I'm gonna leave that there till I can get a new fuel line, because I don't want to run it with that old fuel line. It's all messed up and really grody. I'm gonna show you guys. Wow, it's bad. Look at all that in there. No good. No, not good at all. And that's like hard as a rock. It should be nice and squishy and also super flexible. It's not. It almost, yeah, see that? It almost holds its shape. So you don't, yeah, you're definitely going to want to replace this. There's so much junk in there. It's not even worth keeping. It's not even worth trying at all. If I tried to hook the Carb right back up to this and then run it, I'd make all that work for nothing. It probably just introduced all that foreign material in there and get it all gunked up again. So I'm just gonna order a new fuel line. But I think this Carb will work. I really do. it definitely needs a new intake manifold gasket. I can almost guarantee that if I were to boot this back on, it would probably have an air leak at the intake. But otherwise, everything else on this is solid, which is good. Good news. So yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it there, guys. That was fun. I got to tear into a new carburetor. A lot of that stuff I hadn't seen before. So like where the Phillips head screws were, keeping that cap on top of the metering diaphragm. I had never seen that before. So hopefully you guys are learning something with me. I'm certainly having a lot of fun with it. I'm excited for this build. I'm excited to see the saw running. Kind of what I do is I just try to get these saws running, and then I make them better. But I have to get them running, otherwise I'm going to replace every single part and not know which one is actually okay to keep going. Yeah, I plan on keeping the saw stock, all except for the muffler and the handlebar. I plan to put maybe try to fabricate a new handlebar for it. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I'll take you guys along with me. And definitely fabricate some dogs for it, because it needs some dogs. I mean, anybody out there who's tried to fell a tree without felling dogs, they know the pain. It's just a very inconvenient way of... it's just inconvenient and sucks. So I'll keep the stock cylinder and stock piston. I might get a new piston for it and new rings, because it's really low on compression. It's only at 90, and most chainsaws that I've seen, you want it above 100, ideally 120. And the piston looks fine. The cylinder looks fine. I didn't see any terrible major scoring in there. I think the rings are just old and worn out. So I'd replace those. I got to tear the whole cylinder off and take a look at it all. But I do plan on porting it. That will be definitely one of my first port jobs ever. I've never done one, so you guys will come along with me, and I'll be following Tin Man's guide on how to do basic saw porting. He's definitely the best teacher that I've seen on how to do those kinds of things. So thank you, Tin Man. I really appreciate your work, and it's, immensely helpful. So yeah, I think that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope everybody out there who's watching is doing the best that they can. And okay, I'll catch you guys later. Bye.